In honor of the passing of Ric Ocasek and the late Ben Orr, we count down the top 10 songs by the Cars. And we're also going to be talking about the band's biography as well as the lives of Ric and Ben. You shall be missed. Stick around. You're listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, changing rock history one podcast at a time. Welcome back, everybody, to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Loudini Rock and Roll Circus coming back at you. Our website is loudinirockandrollcircus.com. Some cool things are afoot, so keep checking the website. Some new affiliate things are going to be happening. You guys are going to be able to support the show by buying things that you're already buying and stuff that you already like. So I will keep you guys in abreast. I said breast. Lily, of that situation. So stick around, LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. You can catch up on all the podcasts. Everything is there. And all the links to everything as well. Like sometimes you guys, you listen on Spotify, you listen on Apple Music, you listen on Rock Rage Radio. Thank you, Rock Rage Radio. They are an affiliate. You listen on Classic 92. You can find, it's like our hub right there at LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com, all the jumping off places to all the cool stuff. If you would like to participate with us in a little more meaningful way, you want to get behind the scenes, you want to get to hang out with some really cool people, you want to go to LouLombardiRocks.com. That is our private Facebook group. And there's even if you don't like Facebook, you'll like this. So like, I don't like Facebook. I don't like Facebook either, quite frankly. But this is really cool because there's nobody's like yelling about politics or social justice or any of that garbage. We are just talking about music, supporting each other, spreading things around. Now there's like even kind of like a little bit of a gig exchange going on. Guys are talking about, there's a lot of musicians in there as well. It's but you don't have to be a musician to join. It's just a really cool place for people who are really passionate about great guitar-driven rock. And you can get that at LouLombardiRocks.com. And we will be doing a live after this where you get to hear the real dirty jokes. And you never know what might come out of Lily's mouth. Or go into her mouth. Did I say that out loud? All right, everybody. My co-host tonight is the lovely and talented Miss Lily Von Six. Lily, what is going on? Speak to me, sweet pea.
Speak to you. Well, as you know, even though you weren't there, I went to Fuel on Saturday.
Fuel and Fuddle.
At the Meadows Casino, so it was close to home, fun show. Of course, there was a jackass in the crowd that yelled "Freebird."
No, there's no jackasses in the crowd.
There's always a jackass in the crowd. But that was a good time. I took my sister. We partied it up, had a great time. The casino, though, I'm telling you what, is bleak. Half the machines are down. No restaurants are open. They're like remodeling, but it's awful.
I thought maybe it was like, I thought maybe the apocalypse was happening.
No.
Nobody
Wouldn't
told
that be
us.
something, though?
That'd be cool. Apocalypses are cool.
But we can talk about what I'm doing this weekend later because it's a full weekend of things, activities.
Sweet.
But nothing during the week this time. Taking it easy. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Okay, so Lily has some cool stuff coming up, and we'll mix that in a little bit later on. We are going to get into the topic here in a minute, and I always like to start with a band, though, first, because the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus brings you some of the most awesome rock and roll that you're not really hearing anyplace else, or very few other places. So tonight you're going to hear bands like American Bombshell, Bad Marriage, which I give Bad Marriage the Loudini Award 2019 greatest band name of any band we have played on the show. Bad Marriage. Awesome band name. Transcendence.
Love them.
They're a great band, but it's the Pittsburgh Transcendence.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of Transcendence things that are happening out there. And I'm going to play my track as well, Where Have All the Acid Queens Gone? We'll close out with that. But this is, this is such a gold jam. This is American Bombshell. It's called Money on the Liquor. Stick around, guys. We're going to be talking about the Cars and Ric Ocasek when we come back. American Liquor. That's not bad. Money on the Liquor by American Bombshell on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. My money, Lily, my money is on the liquor.
Yeah, no shit.
That's not all that's on the liquor. I hear that there's liquor in the front and poker in the rear. Or is it poker in the front and liquor
It
in
could
the
be
rear?
both. It could be both.
Either way works.
Depending on what you like.
See, you wouldn't know these things, guys, if you didn't listen, if you didn't listen to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Yes.
Not every girl will order that, though. Just saying.
They order that. Excuse me.
It's not always on the menu.
I'll have the liquor in the front, please. Hold the poker in the rear, though. I'm a little incontinent.
We're not all open to that.
Do you ever get incontinent? Never mind. So speaking of incontinence, we are talking about the cars. The cars. And I love the cars. I have specific memories, like fun memories from my youth surrounding
The
car
cars.
songs. Different car songs of, jumped out at, at different times. Just real quick, my best friend's girl.
That sounds like a good start to a story.
My
if
buddies,
you don't know what that means.
my buddy Steve and I, he had bought their greatest hits, maybe he had the album, the first album. I'm not sure what it was, but he was like, you got to check this. Have you ever really listened to the solo on My Best Friend's Girl? I'm like, he says it's this really cool kind of like finger picking rockabilly thing, and I had just never really noticed it about how awesome of a guitar solo it was. So, this guy was a buddy of mine. We were both into music. He was a keyboard player. We played together and stuff like that as when we were kids, and it's just a kind of a good memory. Cruising the South Park for chicks with cruising in stereo, blasting out of my buddy GC's Mustang. We were literally cruising. Me, Rick, and GC were in the car going real slow through the park, And the girls were like waving at him. We're moving in stereo. It was just like bum, 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 ba, ba, just blasting. Just some fun memories with the cars. And I was telling Lily while the song was playing that I was doing, as I was researching for today's show, there is I found some websites with listing all the Cars songs, and I couldn't believe how many songs there's I had sort of forgotten about. They did, it's like if you guys ever saw the Peter Bogdanovich documentary about Tom Petty, you watch that and you go like, oh my God, I forgot how many hit songs Tom Petty had. The Cars the same way, just like hit after hit after hit, great tunes. They don't write them like that anymore. So anyway, love the Cars, and I'm really excited. This is the first time we've ever, in the history of the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, done anything about the Cars. And it took the
kind of odd, huh?
The death of Ric Ocasek to precipitate that. So there's always a silver lining. So, what do you want to start with? Do you want to talk a little bit about the Cars, or do you want to get into some of the songs? Well, how do you want to start?
Let's talk about the Cars a little bit first.
Okay, because Lily's all about the. She's a resident rock historian here.
Whatever you want to call me. Well, I've never had the pleasure of seeing the Cars, so that's unfortunate, but I do like them. They sort of remind me of old 80s movies that I love because of the music. But anyway, about the history here. American rock band who originated in Boston in 1976 with singer-songwriter and guitarist Ric Ocasek, bassist and singer Benjamin Orr, lead guitarist Elliot Easton, keyboardist Greg Hawkes, drummer David Robinson. They are described as the new wave and power pop, and they were actually at the forefront of the emerging guitar rock with the new synthesizer pop that was becoming popular, and it actually flourished in the 80s that we've heard in many bands before, but they were sort of right at the front of that. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018, so last year, and this was actually the final performance with Ric Ocasek, who we all know just passed a few days ago, as you said. And the band's name was suggested by David Robinson, and it stuck. Never gave a reason why that I saw. So if you know a reason why, go for it. But I don't know. Couldn't find it. But they have 7 studio albums. It's very danceable music. I really like, and that's my thing. I like to dance. So dancing around. And Rick's voice is very distinct. You know when it's a Cars song when you hear it. So. That's it. That's all
the band, what a lot of people don't realize is the band has 2 lead singers.
Yeah.
Benjamin Orr also sang. I think Benjamin Orr sang their biggest song.
He did.
And it's very interesting. And Scott Paulson is a brother in arms, a great rock and roll DJ from Pittsburgh. But in memory of Ric Ocasek, he quoted lyrics from Drive, which is a Benjamin Orr song.
Right.
But, yeah, hey, it's all in the name of
It's
rock and
okay.
roll. But I think a lot of people don't completely realize that Benjamin Orr's voice is more of the he has a more pop, it's like standard pop kind of voice. So when you listen to Drive, that sounds like a kind of standard pop kind of timbre that you would hear,
And they were
on
like
any
one of
pop-
those bands that never got in trouble for like anything.
But Ric Ocasek's voice, as Lily said, is very distinctive.
Yeah.
And the whole band is kind of like that. Most of their songs, within a few seconds, even without the singing, you pretty much know it's the Cars. There's a certain vibe, certain drum sound, certain way. And they were at the forefront of this sort of like bringing this sort of, playing around with synthesizers
The
and
new
things like
wave.
that. However, I think that their sound is a lot warmer and a lot more heavy guitar than a lot of what I associate with new wave, like later on in the 80s. So that's one of the things that makes them very distinctive. And if I just did a cool video on Good Times Roll the other day, and you can find it at LouLombardiRocks.com, where I sort of gave you guys a lowdown on that song. So, okay, so Ric Ocasek. Do you want to talk about Ric, or do you want to get into the songs?
I can talk about Ric.
Let's talk about Ric.
I got
for a minute.
shit here.
Ric shit. We have Ric shit.
Well, I don't have Ric shit. That's odd. Where is my Ric stuff? There it is. His full name was Richard Theodore Ocasik, born in 1944 in Baltimore, Maryland. He met Ben Orr in Cleveland, Ohio in 1965, where he went to see the band The Grasshoppers, and later, with the others, founded the band The Cars. He had a successful
He had a sex change.
solo career with 7 albums as well.
His original name was Rita.
My God. Not only was he the lead vocalist in the band, he's also a painter, and he had a cameo as a beatnik painter in the film Hairspray. If anybody's seen that, there's a lot of cameos in that movie. He's been married 3 times. His last wife is actually one of my favorite supermodels ever, is Paulina Poroskova. It's his 3rd wife from 1989, and they separated in 2018. They actually met during the filming for the song Drive, and she was 18 at the time.
Oh, my.
Yes. He has 6 sons, 2 to each wife that he's had. I don't care about the other wives because they're not, as famous as Paulina, so I didn't bother to get their names at all. But he was found dead at his New York City home by Paulina of natural causes. And actually, I gave the year of his birth, but no one's actually sure of his exact age because even the coroner couldn't tell. He could be between 70 and 75. So they weren't sure how old he was when he died.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
A little bit of a mystery man
Right.
there, that Ric Ocasek. Very interesting look.
Yes, he was
As
very
well.
fashionable. Very fashionable. It's
Very-
probably why Paulina loved him.
So why don't we go ahead and we'll talk about Benjamin. We'll come back after a song and we'll get into a little bit about Benjamin Orr a little bit later on. So let's get into our countdown here of the greatest, the top 10. And I think we have an honorable mention because I don't think we could stick to 10 with this band.
I couldn't do it.
So let's go ahead and what do we got? What do you got for number 10 or whatever?
Well,
that's-
my honorable mention is "You Are the Girl." It's actually from their 6th studio album, Door to Door, released as a single in '87, reached number 17 spot on the charts. This is where Ocasek and Orr actually share the vocals. The song's supposed to be about an ex, and they performed it at the 1987 MTV Video Music Awards, and the video was directed by John Waters, who directed Hairspray.
That would not surprise me. Makes
Right.
sense, yeah.
And this was the band's last top 40 hit. Now, I don't have actual reasons why I like these songs. This is just a sort of order of how I like the songs. So I can't really give a reason why I like it. I just sort of like it, and I hate to say it that way.
This is the order as it was handed down by God. So you can, if you want to argue with God.
And actually, I'm not going to sit here and type to Billy Altman. Billy Altman, yeah, I know that said he was 71 and died of cancer. No, he didn't die of cancer. He died of natural causes, and it just came out in the news that they don't know his age. So you actually don't know more than me. Read some things.
Billy, you just got a spanking from Mistress Lily.
Literally just came out yesterday, buddy. So don't F with me.
Okay, so what do you got? What's next on yours?
My number 10 now is Why Can't I Have You from the 5th studio album, Heartbeat City. I actually think I have a lot of picks off of this album. Of course, it's a ballad, which is the actual reason I like it, because as we all know, I'm a sucker for ballads, which I don't tell too many people, except for everybody who listens to my podcast, or your podcast and my radio show. So, but it reached number 33 on the charts, and it was the final single from that album.
Okay, why can't... So far, I don't know either one of these songs.
Yes, you do. If you heard them, you'd know them.
Okay, what do you got? Please have something that I know.
Think It Over. You don't know that one either. Damn. Wow. Released on the 4th studio album, Shake It Up, which I think was one of their most popular albums. It actually, okay, so this is why you don't know this one. This actually did not make a dent in the charts at all and was also not released in America. I just know it from the album because I have the album at home. But like most of the Cars songs, it's poppy and snappy, and I think it deserves to be on the list. So
Okay. We're going to give you one more.
one more. Since You're Gone. Do you know that one? Released as a second single on the 4th album, Shake It Up, reached number 41 on the charts. It received great praise from critics and fans alike because, again, of its poppiness and snappiness.
You don't have anything like Good Times Roll?
We're getting good
or
on
stereo, moving.
we're going closer to the top of the list.
God. All right, here we're going to play another band. I'm going to try to get control of my podcast
Look,
again.
see? They come out now.
Okay, here we go. Okay. I was getting nervous.
These are the ones that made the bottom of my list.
Nervous. I'm getting a little nervous. All right. Sorry about that outburst. Lord, I apologize. This is Bad Marriage on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. I think he's the devil.
Nah.
Diablo from Bad Marriage. And let me go ahead. I did not mention we played American Bombshell before that, and their website's americanbombshell.net. Bad Marriage is badmarriagemusic.com.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah, Diablo, great tune. I just freaking love that song. Let's talk about our the other lead singer in the Cars.
Da Bears.
The Cars, and
So
the
you
birds,
wanna
and the
talk
birds, and the
about-
Cars. We're going to talk about
We're
Ben.
going to talk about Benny. Benjamin Orr.
Ben Orr, and that is not his real last
He
name.
was born Benjamin Orszakowski.
Orszakowski.
Doesn't that sound so exotic? I love it.
That's a good, ethnic name. Probably good,
Nice
Eastern
Polish boy.
European Polish family. From Ohio. I
Yes,
believe. Yeah.
Lakewood, Ohio in 1947. Bassist, singer, and co-founder of the Cars. He also had a solo hit with Stay the Night on his album The Lace. He actually was not only proficient in bass and singing, he could play the guitar, keyboards, and drums, in addition to all that. And his band, the Grasshoppers, were the house band on the Big Five show, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a syndicated musical variety show in Cleveland, Ohio, or was.
Well, Lakewood is a suburb
Yes.
of Cleveland, yeah.
Right. The Grasshoppers disbanded due to 2 of the members being drafted into the Army, and later, actually, Ben was drafted as well, but he only had to stay for so long, and
He
I
was
can't
given
remember
a
why.
deferment.
Okay, there you go. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2000, but he did continue to perform with the band Big People throughout that summer. His final public appearance was September 27, 2000, in a Big People show in Anchorage, Alaska. He died at his home in Atlanta on October 4th, 2000, at age 53, and he does have one son, Ben. Not the 6 sons that Rick has. He has one boy. But yes, he was super hot. I didn't realize
Very handsome
how
man.
attractive the man was.
Very handsome man. That freaking pancreatic cancer, man.
That'll get you every time.
That gets you quick. You don't usually when you're diagnosed with that, you don't got long. So
That's super sad.
Very sad, and just really just a massive talent and part of like the history of rock and roll. Something about the Cars that I would like to sort of mention is that do you remember the band 38 Special?
Oh, I love that band. That's one of my favorite bands. Okay, no.
What's his name?
I don't know
Don Barnes.
Okay, I don't know their
Yeah,
names.
I read
just
an
love
interview
them.
with Don Barnes many years ago.
I only saw them twice.
And he said that they copped the Cars, and I quote, chicka chicka guitar sound. that was it. Like, they brought that to Southern rock.
Okay.
So the Cars are a kind of influence on 38 Special.
That's awesome.
Who'd have thunk it?
I didn't know.
Just a little bit of trivia there. I want to give a shout out to the folks that jumped on our Facebook this week, because we always ask you guys what you think, and we're going to talk about some of these picks. We had Dave Brizard, Chuck Kustabarter, Mike Moscato, Jared Grease, Pat Phillips. What's up, Pat?
Oh,
Jeff Lantry, Steve Rossini, Jason Pink. Hey, what's up, Jason? Frank Rodriguez. Oh, you're probably not even Hispanic. John
wow, you're not even.
John Fox, Patrick Norman from Rusted Root fame.
Also, Borstal Boys.
Borstal Boys.
Boystal Boys.
Boystals. Mark Kingen, Leonard Adam Hoffman. Lenny Hoffman. Lenny and I went to high school together. Lenny was on our basketball team. He was very good. Bill Thomas and Dave Klimo. Thank you guys for chiming in. We'll talk about some of your picks a little bit later on.
We ain't ruining my list.
Well, we don't want to ruin Lily's list, because that would just be all kinds of problems. You thought Billy Altman was in trouble. Okay, so what's the what's next?
So now we're gonna get into songs that everybody knows, but I did want to get those ones out first because they are at the bottom of my list because they're not as popular. But number 7 is gonna be "Shake It Up" from the best year ever, 1981's, because that's when I was born, album "Shake It Up." The song was written actually years earlier, though. They just hadn't included it on anything. But it became one of the band's most popular songs, peaking at number 2 on the charts. The song is about dance moves, hairstyles, and having fun. And I love dancing to that song, and I don't care what anybody says. But you do have to get me a little drunk, or it's not going to happen.
It also has another amazing guitar solo by Elliot Easton. Elliot Easton is... we've done shows in the past on underrated musicians, and Elliot's name always comes up on as far as underrated guitarist goes. Absolutely amazing. What a lot of people don't realize is that Cars are they've got this kind of new wave, and Rick sings with this sort of cynical kind of attitude. But Elliot Easton is a Berklee College of Music graduate. He's a serious,
he's a smart guy,
musician, playing with these wacky new wavers. Now, I do not know if this is true or not. I saw him interviewed, and from the look on his face, I couldn't tell if he was BSing or not. But he said this, that they were playing, and one of the early A&R guys from some record label was looking at them, and he said, well, the problem with the band is everybody's guitars are pointing in the same direction. You need the guitar player on the other side to face the other way. So he says that's why he plays left-handed.
Ah, interesting.
I find that being a guitar player myself and knowing a lot of lefty guitar players, and I have a hard time believing that story is true. I kind of got the impression that it was something that he was saying to kind of be cute in the interview. If any of you people can confirm or deny that, I would love to... please let me know, because I would love to sort of explore that further. I remember watching
I would assume that's difficult to switch it off.
Yes, and either that or he's so freaking amazing. I've heard the same thing about Hendrix. I heard that Hendrix could pick up a right-handed guitar and just play. It didn't matter. So maybe he's just that freaking good. I don't know. But he is a dynamite musician, and that guitar solo on "Shake It Up" is one of my absolute favorites. So what do you got next?
My next one is "Dangerous Type." It's actually, and I know people are going to probably be mad, but it's the only song I liked on Candy O. Sorry. It was their second album. The song was never released as a single, but is a fan favorite. The band Letters to Cleo did a good cover of it in the movie The Craft, which, if you're a female like me, I'm sure you've seen The Craft.
If you're one of those vagina people.
If you're one of those vagina people. It's a good
movie. If you
movie.
have a vagina tonight, could you please raise your hand? Thank you.
Anyway, yes, and I love that one because it makes me feel like... So, you know in the movies when they're like slow motion walking in a group of girls, that's like in The Craft. Well, you probably haven't seen The Craft. But in The Craft, I feel like every time I hear that I'm doing like a slow motion kind of walk as it's playing. Like I'm a badass and nobody can get in my way. Although I am a badass.
See, I feel that way about moving in stereo. So, Yeah. The Craft. Candio. I want to. I
You
lost
can
my
talk
train of
about
thought for a
Candio.
second. I want to talk a little bit about Candio. Something interesting. Their debut album, The Cars, was such a. Even though they didn't have, I think the highest charting song on that album might have been "Just What I Needed" or "Best Friend's Girl." I'm not sure. But it was a powerhouse. It stayed on the charts for a really long time. So much so that Candio was done. It was in the can, ready to be released, but the record label was reluctant to release
They're
it
like, no.
because their first album was still like really
Going along
selling.
strong.
It was going really, really strong. This was the era. This was the 70s, guys. This was the era of something called album rock. And that's when people were really interested in albums. And the Beatles started the album craze in the 60s, really, really established it with Sgt. Pepper's. And every band after that had to have an album. And that went on for a very, very long time. Yes, there were pop bands that released singles, but there was this sort of reverence given to bands that put out really solid albums where you had a whole thing where you could listen to multiple tracks of that same band and really enjoy it, as opposed to some of these artists that were kind of like they would throw a pop hit out there here and there that would maybe get on AM or something like that. So, but it was the first album was such a powerhouse that it delayed the release of the second album. And there's, I mean, there's other albums that's similar to that, but it's not a super common thing. So again, a testimony to what a great band and what an important band the Cars really were. What do you got next?
One more thing about Candio. The album art is fantastic, done by the Playboy artist. I can't think of his name right now, but it's the only thing other than the song that I like about that album. Anyway, the next one is My Best Friend's Girl off of their debut album from 1978. Released as the second single on the album, and it peaked at number 35 in the U.S., and it's just a fun song. That's all I can say about it, really.
My Best Friend's Girl.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got. Do you like that song? No?
I'm pulling in an Eddie Trunk with a long pause.
Oh. Hi, guys.
I think that, yes, My Best Friend's Girl is a really cool song. Very well structured, very interesting song. And as I mentioned earlier, another amazing guitar work from Elliot Easton. So just great finger picking stuff.
You know,
just
that
shows that he can do so much. Just an amazing musician. Fun, catchy song, and it's a relatable idea. I'm sure there's a lot of people that were like, damn, how'd you get that girl? I want that girl. Jesse's Girl, right?
Jesse's Girl, yes.
A few years later.
I love Jesse's Girl from 1981. My Best Friend's Girl was also a movie with, what's that comedian's name? Really hot one.
Andrew Dice Clay.
No, younger. Damn it. I'll think of it.
Dean.
Stupid movie, though.
What's his name?
No, it's a really smart-ass one.
Not the guy who was in Waiting. What's his name?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The guy, the cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Dane
Cook.
Dane Cook. The cook. Dane.
Yes,
Dane.
he was in. Although that was a dumb movie, but I thought it maybe was going to be about that. It sure wasn't.
So we just mentioned Shake It Up, Dangerous Type, My Best. Do one more.
My next one on my list, number 4, Good Times Roll, 1978 debut album. First track on the album, released as the third single. It was popular in the media. It actually was featured on soundtracks for Wonderland, Just Like Heaven, Everybody Wants Some, the season 4 finale of Rescue Me, an episode of Freaks and Geeks. It was used in the film Jawbreaker, which is one of my favorite movies. I Love You Man, which is another one of my favorite movies.
You, man.
And a commercial for Capital One. So that was a pretty popular song.
Do you know, though, that the song is actually a cynical tune about the fact that the good times really aren't the good times.
I think I read that.
About ungood times is what is I think the phrase that Ric Ocasek used when he described the song, but people don't know.
People don't listen to
people
that stuff.
Just go
they just go with it because it's a fun song.
Bro,
Also,
but that is why the song has this kind of hypnotic, droning, psychedelic kind of vibe, and not like it's not an upbeat tune like "Shake It Up." You know, it has a totally different kind of darker
but it makes me
kind
want
of
to go
vibe.
like this, so it's fine. Anyway, Chuck E. Cheese actually parodied it. I can't even say
Parodied.
that. They did a parody of the song
Yes,
called
English. Screw that. crap.
fuck that shit. Called Roll the Pizza Dough, and they
Roll
used
the
it to the
pizza dough.
and they used it too to that. And I just remember that because my ex-husband used to work at Chuck E. Cheese. So
Nice.
yeah, good shit.
I'm gonna get a job at Chuck E. Cheese.
No,
tomorrow.
you don't want to. You'll kill yourself. All those children around.
Chuck E. Cheese. They only allow you to have 2 beers.
I know, right? That makes me so
You
mad.
need a lot more. You need shots if you're gonna deal with all them
If
kids.
you have to deal with all those children.
They should be pumping like marijuana through the.
But I'm going to tell you what, I
vents
can
and stuff.
house some of them pizzas. Oh my God, they have some of the best
From
pizza
what I
ever.
recall, I thought the pizza was okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
God, so good.
isn't that terrible? For who's watching, and then we're gonna play a song when we come back. Or do you want to play a song and say who's watching?
We can say who's watching right now.
We'll say who's
I can
watching.
run through it. Billy Altman has had 100,000 comments.
Oh, Billy Altman, me love
Go to bed, Billy.
you.
Chris Thunderwolf Dodson, Chris Blevins, Paul Norton, Roxy Fillinger, John Scanlon, Tracy Sampson, Bill Damiano, Billy Altman, Jim Esch, Chris Jamrock. Why do I know that name? I probably know you and I can't think of it. Roxy Fillinger, did I say that already? Probably. Bill Noble, Lisa Ashland, Gina George, Mark Canham, Tuck Shepard. I love this song in the background, by the way. Kaylee Levy, Tuck Shepard, Robert Garrett, Ronald Thompson said
Ronald.
moving in
like
stereo is awesome.
No, love that song.
Mark Conley.
I worship that song.
Shut up. Diego Asylum's watching. He's one of our Rock Rage boys. Boys. James Gentry, another one. Dave Riggins. Gigi's watching.
Oh,
So, yay.
Gigi.
Richard C. Boyer. Nancy Wolfson Co. Diana Swens.
No Chris Thunderwolf Dodson.
Yeah, I said him already.
Okay,
Wait at the
all right.
beginning. Diana Swens actually asked what the subject was. We're doing the top 10 Cars songs in
And
honor
sort
of
of
Rick.
giving a salute to the cars in
Right.
general, yeah.
Princess Rivera and Redson Webster are our watchers this evening.
Webster!
Oh,
Emmanuel, what's his name? It was the kid who played
Oh, I don't
Webster.
remember his last name, but I know you mean the little...
The little shit.
Wow. And there it
That
is.
little shit who
And
played
there
that
it is.
kid.
And then boom goes the dynamite. I can't even handle you tonight.
We're going to have a big party afterwards. You want to go to LouLombardiRocks.com.
It's going to be a good night,
If
I
you
can tell.
think this is like, we do see what's happening. This is Transcendence from Pittsburgh on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circuit. Oh my, Transcendence, everybody. If you want to transcend, you can go to transcendence412.bandcamp.com and check them out in that. We opened the show with American Bombshell, AmericanBombshell.net. And then the band with the greatest name in the history of the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, Bad Marriage, and that's badmarriagemusic.com.
You're playing favorites.
Of course, it's the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Oh, speak of the devil, and he appears. Eric says hi.
Eric, Eric the Viking, everybody. Eric Idle from Monty Python.
He's not. It's not Eric Idle. That'd be kind of freaking awesome, but it's not him. This Eric has way better hair.
Had a great time this week, past 2 weekends, with my buddy Eric, who I haven't seen in 30 years. And we sort of picked up right where we
Right
left
where
off.
you left off.
Except with alcohol. Because
Oh, please.
we didn't do alcohol.
You didn't do it.
No, we were in 8th grade. So, yeah, it's been good times. These are the good times.
Anyway.
Anywho's, it's so we're talking about them cars. So what do you got? We got a few more left on Lily's list, so let's go ahead and wrap that up.
All right. The next one I have, which is number 3 on my list, is Magic. From the fifth studio album, Heartbeat City, released in 1984, it was released as a single and reached number 12 on the charts. I think Truly makes me drunker than White Claw. Holy crap, I can't even talk. Anyway, it's just a super fun song, and it's definitely in my top 3, obviously.
Magic was a huge, like, ginormous hit. You couldn't go anywhere that song. What year was it released?
80, or I lied. No, I didn't lie. 84. That's what I was
84.
going to say.
Okay. So, just you couldn't go anywhere that year without hearing Magic, and I believe Drive is on the same album. Couldn't
Yes.
Also, what is very interesting about that album is the drum sound is just absolutely huge. This is the sort of like pinnacle of that, what they call gated reverb snare drum sound, and these guys mastered. Excuse me here. We have to stop this shenanigans. Sorry. And on the song Magic, the interplay between the bass guitar and the drum set is just off the freaking hook. It's unlike anything else out there ever. It's just totally amazing. And I was talking earlier about the Cars being one of those bands where I have so many great memories associated. And again, this is my buddy Steve, and he and I were driving around in his truck, and we were just floored. And I just remember cranking, with that song would come on the radio, we just would crank that all the way up and shook the inside of this little S10 pickup truck with that bass, and that drum is just sick. What's interesting is none of you guys on our Facebook posts picked that song.
I can't believe it. I was surprised.
Nobody picked Magic. There's tons of them, and a bunch of the ones that you don't have on yours, but nobody picked that song, Magic.
I don't know why. It was such a
and
good song.
I think this song is
beautiful.
absolutely amazing as a song. It was a ginormous hit, and the way they did that thing with the bass and the drums is just killer. It's so grooving, so in the pocket, and it's the kind of thing that you wish bands would do more often. Not quite the way like something like Honky Tonk Woman, has that sort of stop time kind of feel to it.
That's my favorite Stone song.
Yeah, this has almost that kind of vibe to it, the way the bass and the bass guitar and the drums interact, specifically during the verses. Magic, it is magic. This song is appropriately named, because it blew my mind when I heard that. If you haven't listened to it in a while, or if you're one of those people who follow us on Facebook and you forgot to mention that one, go back and listen to it. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, give it a chance. What do you got next?
Number 2 is Just What I Needed. 1978 debut single from the band, was in the top 30 in the U.S. It's the most successful song on the debut album, obviously, for reasons that everyone knows.
Sung by Benjamin Orr.
Sung by Benjamin Orr. Actually, my number 1 is also sung by Benjamin Orr, but that's fine.
It's a great song. This was the first guitar solo that I ever picked up, like learned from listening to a record, was a solo to Just What I Needed by the Cars, again, Elliot Easton, and I kind of always looked back on that and went like, you know what? Yeah, I was in pretty good hands. Because if that's the first solo you learn, you're learning the right stuff. That solo is insanely melodic. He plays some cool licks as well, and he really nails the chord changes. He really does a lot of, and if you're a guitar player, you know what I'm talking about. One of the coolest things you can do as a soloist is to make sure that you give a little nod to the chord changes as you're going through, and it can really take what you're doing to a whole other level. A lot of rock guitarists at that time, Jimmy Page, guys like that, just kind of played licks. Eddie Van Halen just kind of plays a solo. If I reference the chords, cool. If I don't, cool. But one of the things that Elliot Easton is very good at is referencing the chords. This is something you get when you study at university, because this is one of the things that I learned from, not so much at university, but studying with a really awesome jazz guitar teacher. So when you go to a place like Berkeley and you're studying jazz, one of the things that's very, very important is to reference those chords in your solos. And Just What I Needed, the solo, does that brilliantly without sacrificing anything. It's insanely melodic. It's one of those it is one of those solos that, like, if you cover the song in your band, you got to play that solo. You can't just play some BS.
Bullshit
like, you can't
crap.
you can't just improvise that. The audience knows that solo. That is just a testimony to what a great band the Cars were. Each and every individual of that band. Ric Ocasek, Ben Orr, Elliot Easton, and so on. Everything they did, everybody's part was integral. Is that the word I want?
Integral
to the success of the song. And just what I needed is a great. So what do you got? Big drum roll.
As we know, I'm sure you've already guessed what my number one is. It's Drive. Most favorite song by them ever off of Heartbeat City. Released as the third single and the biggest international hit. Actually sung by Orr, as we said earlier.
That has an amazing snare drum sound. It sounds like somebody getting punched in the face in a movie.
Produced by Mutt Lange. Peaked at number...
Wow, okay.
And there it is.
Well, there it is. That's why it has... something I didn't know. I didn't know. It has a Def Leppard drum sound.
Yep.
That,
peaked at number 3 on the charts, associated with 1985 Live Aid performed by Orr during the Philadelphia event. The music video was directed by Timothy Hutton. Didn't know that till I read about it. And starred Paulina Poroskova, which was Ric Ocasek's wife at the time. Or, he met her there, and then they got married. But, yeah, that song... I'm telling you what, I love, love, love that song. I love the covers of that song. It's just a great song, and I would just love to make love to that song. I know that sounds gross, but
it is a make-out song.
Definitely is.
And yes, I made out to that song when that song was popular.
I never did that.
To my girlfriend Kathy Martz at the time.
Ooh, and there it is. He's just gonna go out with it.
To that song. Kathy sadly has passed away.
Oh.
So when you get old like me, you have girlfriends that are dead.
I don't have any ex-boyfriends that are dead yet.
Oh, you give it some time, honey.
Though that's a hint.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I guess this is like a
if my
nervous
boyfriend's actually watching, I'd like to make out to that song. Just saying. He's not watching. He's driving. He's driving actually home right now from seeing 3 from Hell. So, yeah, he said it was good.
Haunt was the movie I was telling you about. We were having a little soiree out on my front deck this weekend with my good friend Eric Anthony, and it's not on Amazon, but it is on Redbox.
Okay.
On the Redbox
yeah,
app.
I could go just get that real
and
quick.
of course I put my card in and everything, and they're like, "Oh, you have to come back later. We're having problems." I'm like,
asshole.
so anyway, so I have to go. But I heard Haunt is very good as well. 3 from Hell is the third in the series of the House of 1,000 Corpses and Devil's Rejects and that whole thing.
He said it was really good. Unfortunately for him, it was spoiled earlier because some jerk had to put like a part in it on Facebook, so he accidentally read it and now is mad. But he loved the movie, so I will not get to see it until it comes out on DVD because unfortunately tomorrow night is the last night it's showing in theaters, and I won't have time to go. So.
Well, I've been trying for the past couple of weeks to get to It Chapter 2. I have not seen it.
3 hours long, though, dude.
I know. I was going to go before I came down to meet Eric on Saturday, but I'm like, man, do I want to give up 3 hours of my Saturday, to go see this movie? So maybe I'll do it tonight after the podcast. I'm just kidding. But
He'll be in bed.
So the Cars, guys. Ric Ocasek, Ben Orr, just a dynamite band. All good things, guys, come to an end. They just do. There's just, I know, and I think we're spoiled because the Stones are still going, but eventually, guys, the Stones, Ozzy, all of them that's going to be over, and we're just going to have to get on with newer bands. It's just, I'm sorry.
We just have to
You're
do
just
the
going to have to, we're going to have to find a way to pick up the pieces. There will never be another band like the Cars. There's this history of these bands that are just so important and so different and so unique, like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the Cars, Cheap Trick.
Oh my
we
God,
should
yeah.
do a show on Cheap Trick.
I love
at some
Cheap
point.
Trick.
An
love
amazing,
with them.
A really amazing band that was kind of around at the same time as the Cars. And Cheap Trick is still playing.
I just saw them.
Yeah.
They just played with ZZ Top, actually, too.
There's a great Live at Daryl's house with Cheap Trick as well. So if you guys should check that out. It's a lot of fun. But these bands, all of us have an expiration date. That's just the truth of it. So That's what we not Lily V6 though. Lily V6 is gonna live forever. But that's and so the best we can do is just be grateful for what we got. And like if you go back and look, as I was telling you guys earlier, I found this website. I've referenced this website several times on the show. The top10s.com.
Yeah.
Just what I needed. Drive, You Might Think, Moving in Stereo, Magic, My Best Friend's Girl, Let's Go, Shake It Up, Good Times Roll, You're All I've Got Tonight. When I heard the song, I thought it was You Are Like God Tonight. Since I Held You, Dangerous Type, Bye. We didn't mention Bye Bye Love.
What didn't make my list?
Since You're Gone, Tonight She Comes. I know tonight she comes. Great song. Hello Again. Hello Again. It's All I Can Do. Candio. Heartbeat City. Touch and Go. I mean, why can't
they
I
have a
not
lot
hear it?
of good songs.
I mean, there's just like one after another song that they have out there that are just absolutely killer. Do yourself a favor this week. Sit down, go to Spotify, and just put on a Cars playlist and totally freaking enjoy yourself. You can't go wrong. They're all
You'll
great
find
tunes.
at least 10 songs you like.
It's impossible to narrow it down on a podcast with something like this. Dave Brizard mentioned many of those right there. He also mentioned Cruiser.
You know what? I like that song. I don't love that song.
Mike Moscato also threw in Let's Go and Moving in Stereo. That would be my probably personal favorite Cars song, is Moving in Stereo. I'm just seeing if there's... Jeff Lantry did mention Dangerous Type as well as Lily. Touch and Go. Jason Pinckney threw in a little Touch and Go as well.
I know he likes that song. I know he does.
John Fox actually mentioned the song Candio.
I don't like that song.
It's a different... It's quirky.
It doesn't surprise me because he does like a lot of different things.
It's more of their really... It's one of their really really new wave kind of sounding songs. All Mixed Up. The Leonard Adam Hoffman, Lenny Hoffman. Forgot about All Mixed Up. Lenny and I were went to high school together, and we would come in the mornings after the buses would drop us off. We'd all sit around talking about the songs we heard last night and that morning on WDVE, which is the big rock station in Pittsburgh. Bill Thomas, You're All I've Got Tonight, Just What I Need to Go. Great songs. Dave Klimo, You're All I've Got Tonight, Touch and Go, All Mixed Up. Anyways, guys, we really appreciate your chiming in there with all this stuff. All you guys that watched live with us tonight. We're jumping over to the Inner Circle here for the after party right now. So check that out at LouLombardiRocks.com. Our website is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Throw us a bone by going to Patreon, patreon.com/LouLombardi. Guys, thank you so much. And tune in next week where we are going to be talking about the nicest. This is a little different for us.
We don't usually go wholesome.
We're going to do a show. Next week's topic is the nicest guys and gals in rock and roll.
Could probably put Rick on
and
there.
there are people on there that just like are really just swell human beings, and you're gonna love them. And we're gonna talk about that next week, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to the bands for putting out great music for us. American Bombshell, Bad Marriage, Transcendence. This is my latest single. I've got a new one. I've got some new ones coming soon, I promise. Where Have All the Acid Queens Gone by Lou Lombardi. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great week. Catch you on the next Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. See the future. days.